Alright, now you're just spoiling us with all these images. Hey there, this is your Matt Doodle to my Timeless Hands, Doodle here with another video. And today, I'd like to talk about these two specific images. The first one of Clark Kent being revealed, and the other one of Superman being contained by this guy that I do want to talk about. But I want to talk about the Clark Kent first real quick, because I love the design so much. I know it shouldn't be a screaming response for this, but the fact that he looks completely different from Superman says everything to me about how they're gonna treat this movie. They did something that I never expected for Clark, but it makes sense because, Superman has the curl that Clark Kent could have curly hair, and that it also technically would shape his face. I know. People are saying that he has the Gen Z haircut. As a Gen Zer myself, yeah, I do see it. But it makes sense because technically this Clark is kind of younger. And I think around almost our area of age, I think. I'm not 100% sure. But I think it works for him because it makes his forehead look smaller. It makes his lower face look different, because he has the glasses. The way it's down on his face, it just makes the whole face area look completely different. And I love how he's carrying himself. That he's carrying himself like a nerd. Hello. That he's kind of, more meek, more like, I'm clumsy and all that stuff, which is, the best way to show Clark Kent as a person. And it's also really cool that, they kept his size, that he's still a very big guy, but that he looks very different. Because if you look at these side-to-side images between Clark Kent and Superman, you're like, wait, my brain isn't comprehending the two images together. It is very fun. And maybe, just maybe, hear me out, he could do a better job as Clark Kent and Superman than Christopher Reeves. I know, don't hate me. The reason I say that is just from the appearance alone. He has a more drastic appearance than Christopher Reeves did when he was playing Clark Kent and Superman. I could be completely wrong, and I would be fine with that. But it's just from from seeing the images here. But there is something that I really hope they don't do. What I hope is that they don't make Clark Kent just the complete disguise of the two of them. What I would like to see is that Clark Kent and Superman are just two sides of the same coin. I would like to see that Clark Kent is just him just relaxing, enjoying himself, just existing as a person. Because the whole thing about Clark Kent, the reason why is, one, he was raised as Clark Kent since he was a literal baby. So it doesn't make sense to me that if he just grew up and then, got a cool costume, realized he had all these powers and just said, you know what, that's just me now. That the person I was for most of my life is going to be a complete farce now. And I don't know, it just seems kind of not that great. And it also would be kind of that cool idea that, if Lois falls in love with either of them, it would make sense for Clark. Because if it's for Superman, then it kind of seems kind of egotistical, if that makes sense. Because then it just seems like she just wants him for the power. And I know that sounds kind of weird because, Superman's whole thing is that, he doesn't really see himself like that. But I think that's why Clark Kent is important. That I see Superman as not being fake either. I see him as just being, happy, excited that he can just reveal his powers to the world without having to worry about everyone coming up to him 24/7 because he has Clark Kent. And the reason why I say that is because, one, that's kind of how I work on this thing. If outside the mask, I'm not as animated. I don't move as much like that. When I put this on, I'm, animated. One, because there's no expression on the mask. But two, it's just more fun. I feel a little more excited, more free. These are two sides of me that would be very different if you met me as me outside of Doodlemite and me as Doodlemite. So that's why I say that. And I just think it'd be really cool if, there would be that if Clark Kent had something to do in this movie. That maybe that Superman can't do something because, he's arrested, as I will show in the next image, and Clark Kent technically has to be the one to prove his innocence, if that makes sense, because of the journalistic skills. But that actually leads into the second image that I do want to talk about. The image of Superman being contained by, the authorities. That I'm not sure if that is all of them, because I know it has, Rick Flag Sr., it has the engineer, and it has this black figure that people keep saying it's either Ultraman or this other character that I have no idea who he is. Just figured out who he was on this day because of the design. Now, people are saying that it's Ultraman because of the giant U on his chest. And I'm like, all right, but there hasn't been anything saying that, Ultraman exists. I know there's a theory that says Ultraman is going to be the bad guy, but one, there's like too much already in the movie, and I don't think we want to go into alternate universe territory already. And two, I know people are also saying that they may make Ultraman a clone of Superman, and then make him degrade himself so much to becoming, more like Bizarro now. And that could be cool too. It could make sense, but then why is he completely covered if he's trying to look exactly like Superman? Doesn't make sense. And I know they're saying there's this other character that, again, I don't know. I don't remember his name, and I just know his appearance, but I don't really see the point. He's an extremely obscure character. And remember, this will be authorities. The only authority character that I see this being is Midnighter. Now, if you don't know who he is, he's basically a Batman pastiche kind of thing. He does have powers, but if you look at him in the comics, you can tell he's inspired by Batman. He's, dark, gritty. And the case is that, he's in a relationship with another superhero who's kind of like a Superman pastiche, Apollo. They're supposed to be like in a gay relationship, but I don't think that's going to be explored here because I don't think we've seen Apollo. But I think this is supposed to be Midnighter, and you may be asking, but why does he look so different? Well, one, because Midnighter just kind of looks like Batman in a lot of cases. Like, just take off the ears, and then that is Midnighter. So it makes sense for him to look very different. Make him goggles, make him have face covered, things like that to make him look somewhat different. And again, people are going to say that, but he has the U on his chest. Well, in the middle of that U, you see he also has this circle on it, which is usually a moon for Midnighter. And if you would put a trench coat on this guy, like how Midnighter has it in his comic form, you would tell this is Midnighter. Now, I don't know what his role would be here because yes, Midnighter does have some form of superpowers, but I don't think it's in the level of Superman. So I don't know exactly what they're going with, but it would be very exciting to see what that would be like. Like, I have a theory that, like I said in the Clark image, that they're gonna arrest Clark, and Clark, probably could easily escape from whatever thing he's containing, but he wants to show that he is gonna follow the rules and all like that. But on the other hand, I think he's gonna be like in a cell or somewhere where no one can see him, and he's gonna break out as Clark Kent with Lois Lane, and the rest of the Daily Planets have we seen with the other images gonna prove Superman's innocence, which I think would actually be much cooler and much more fun. Also to see Clark and Lois's chemistry together, and how cute or how much of competition they will be with each other. And I think that's like the best way to show those two when they're together, to show why they work together and why there would be a somewhat romance without having to straight up just either say they're in a relationship or they're not. Because this is supposed to be a Superman who's already been Superman for like a few years, maybe a little bit more than that. So that's why I'm thinking of it in this way, because I do want to see Clark be more than just a little cameo in this film. I want him to be an actual character fleshed out. Because again, I do not want to just see Clark as just the complete disguise. Because Clark's whole thing is that he wants to feel more human, which I think would actually work so well in this film with all these other characters that they're bringing in. But those are just my thoughts on what they could introduce in this film with the images that were just shown here. I am really excited, much more now with what they're showing. Again, the brightness of the costume makes me think, why did they even have that other professionally done one for us to first see? Just seeing Superman out and about is very awesome. And then seeing Clark Kent, seeing how they look so different, is very fascinating. I would really like to see just more images of Clark Kent. That's be fascinating. I want to see why Superman is being detained and who this black figure is. Because again, I do not think it's all the characters most of you keep thinking it is. I still think it's Midnighter, but those are just my thoughts. What are your thoughts on the new images that were shown here? I know I'm a little late, but it's because I had another video I had to do, and I got a little busy, but I finally got it, and I'm happy that I'm actually able to talk about it. But if there's nothing else, I hope everyone stays nerdy. This has been Dynamite, and I hope to see everyone in the next video.